Hello, everyone. For those that don't know me, I'm Emma Cowling, and I am here tonight to talk to you and do a masterclass on how to create a vision, and particularly how to create a vision and use it to inspire people to follow you, to come along with you, and join you on your journey wherever that might be. So the fit I just want to talk a little bit around what a vision is to start with, and what it's not. I think that's an important thing as well, because we can create up so many stories around one word. I don't know if you've noticed that, but we can create the word vision creates all these ideas of kind of being something that's quite scary, something that leaders do, something that you need to do in order to pitch for something, so there's something on it. There's so many things that get caught up in the word vision, and I used to be very scared of that word. I used to kind of think, oh God, right, it felt really heavy. And I don't know if kind of you recognize that. But and the thing I want to do tonight is just make it feel a bit lighter, make it feel like it's something fun that you can do, something that you can play with. And I'm going to take you through a few kind of steps really to help you along the way. Hopefully these steps are going to be things that really you can dip in and out of at any time, and they just get you thinking, get you kind of stepping back and thinking, actually, I want to communicate something to someone. It doesn't have to be big, but I want to communicate something. How can I use that stuff that Emma shared with me about vision stuff to help me? So that's my aim for tonight. It's lovely to see a few of you on there. Lovely to see you watching live. Hello, welcome. If you have any comments, any questions, anything that you want to say along the way, then please do drop them in. I will take questions as we go along. I might not answer immediately, but I will make sure I cover them at the end. So today, the other thing I want to say is that it's useful as we go along, if you have something that you want to create a vision around. And that can be anything from your mission and the mission statement that you came up with last week, down to I've got a meeting coming up with someone and I really want to be able to communicate better with them. So it can be at all levels. You don't need to decide that right now. I'm going to give you some examples, but if you've got something, that will help as we go through the steps, because you can try it out and see how it works and get the experience of it, rather than kind of going through and kind of doing it theoretically. So having something will help. Anyway, how to create a vision. So the first thing I wanted to talk about as we go into this is just, like I said, we can create these words around these ideas around what words are, and a vision, I think, is particularly one of them. And if I look back into how I used to think about a vision, I used to be asked to do it. So I got involved in pitching some business ideas at my work, and they always asked, what's your vision? What is it that you want to create? What is it that you see in the future? And I used to think, oh God, I don't know. How do I know what's going to happen? How do I know how the future's going to pan out? Are they going to hold me to it? I don't want to make a commitment here. And it felt very heavy. And then as I went along, the thing that helped me see the value of a vision was when I started working with academics at the university. So they would come to me with their proposals, and I would be helping them to tweak their proposals so that they made sense. I'd go through them and kind of read through them and get the idea and give them some feedback. Now, there was always a bit at the beginning, which was, what's your vision? What's the difference this is going to make? And the thing that I noticed was that the ones that did that better, the ones that told me a bit about what the future could possibly be, what could possibly happen with this, I tended to understand what it was that they wanted to do better. I could see how it fitted in context. I could see that, oh, so they're trying to get there. So yeah, it makes sense to do this and then do that, and then to explore this particular area. And for those that didn't put that in, I kind of got lost in the detail and I couldn't really see where they were going. So for me, the vision part started to become more about, oh, how do I set the context? How do I give people an idea of where I'm going to go? And that was like an aha moment for me. It's like, oh, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to say, I'm going to this place and I want to take you with me on this journey. I want to show you how I'm going to get there. And the clearer that I can help you to be on the place that I want to go to, the more you can help me along the journey, the more you can see the journey that I want to go and understand why I've chosen to take that particular path. And I quite often use the mountains because I love climbing in mountains and as an example. But it's like I'm saying, I want to climb that mountain over there that looks like this, that is shaped in this particular way. And so this is the path I'm going to follow. And I want to be able to describe that mountain clear enough, if I want you to follow me too, that you can find your route there too, rather than kind of you standing there going, well, is it that mountain or that mountain? You just said something that was spiky and had some peaks. And so that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to describe as clearly as possible where we're trying to take people, and just help them to join us and to follow us. And that's where the leadership element comes in. So the thing that people often get scared about when we talk about a vision is that idea of, well, I'm not very good at visualizing. I'm not very good at being visionary, or whatever that means. I can't see pictures in my head. That's a really common thing that people will say to me. And the other thing that they get caught up on is predicting the future and saying this is how it's going to be. Now, it's really important for you to know that, number one, you don't have to see pictures. A vision isn't always made up of pictures. It helps if it's got some pictures in there, but it doesn't have to be a clear picture that you can see and live in your head. And number two, it's just a possible future. It's something that could possibly happen if everything works out okay. It's almost like the best possible outcome because you're trying to sell it to people to get them involved. But you're not committing to that. You're just saying, wouldn't it be amazing if? And I think I know a route to get there. But you might end up going somewhere else that's even better. Or you might just kind of get halfway along and realize that that's good enough. And so a vision isn't about predicting and getting the future right. It's about trying to communicate where it is that you're going. So the thing as well that often stops people is when they start thinking about, oh, I can't predict the future. I'm not very good at this visionary stuff. If you are someone who tends to get worried or stressed about the future, and or who is very good at kind of going, oh, this could possibly happen and I need to figure out how to avoid it, then you can predict the future. You can look at things that might happen in the future. And I think we underestimate how much we live in the future and are always predicting the future and trying to see where things are going to go and how things are going to turn out. And then how much we then take that into our lives. And the best example that I have of that, where people are really, really good at it, is getting stressed and getting anxious about what might happen. If you can project yourself into the future and get anxious about it, you can also project yourself into the future and be excited about it too. And all we're talking about here is practicing, instead of looking at the most negative outcome, is start thinking about what's the most positive outcome and getting clear on that. And so you can do this. You can visualize. We can all do that. It's something that we do as humans. It's just that what you'll probably find is that you've created a big story around how special it is to be able to do this. It's not special. It is something that we all do naturally. And when you do recognize that you do it, you'll just go, oh, what? Just really? Just that? Just that? And so it is just something that you're doing all the time. What we're just talking about is how to adapt it so that you can use that skill and see that that is a skill that you already have. So they're the caveats I want to put in on this. And I guess the thing that comes from that is that when we're creating a vision and we want to get other people inspired and coming along the way, it's ideal that that vision is positive, not negative. But how often do you kind of hear the negative kind of things of imagine if this were to happen, well, to avoid this, then go this way. So you can use a negative outcome to get people to move in a different direction, but it's generally much better to be doing this in a positive way, because you want to inspire people along the way, and especially if it's from an authentic position, inspiring them to go to a place rather than run away from lots of things. You're more likely to get them to move with you rather than running in random directions. So that's the first bit that I wanted to do, since talk about the vision bit and what it is. What can you use it for? And this is where I would love, as I'm talking this through, for you to just think about, what have you got going on in your life that you could turn into a vision, that you could start to think, oh, actually, I could try this out on that, and just for the purposes of this masterclass, really. So the first one of these is, um, let's think big picture. So big picture stuff is typically what you hear visions being used for. So the mission, the big kind of, the big pitch, the project, the company, the millions of pounds, that's what we tend to associate a vision with. So if you did some work on your vision over the last month, and on your mission even over the last month, and you want to turn that into something which feels clearer for you, then use this process to go through it and to understand what it's all about. Use that idea that's coming through, and use this process to get really that clear. And I'm going to use the word picture, but when I say picture, I don't mean visually. I mean like an experience. Use it to generate an experience that you might like to create. So that's one of the things that you could use it for. The next level down, you might use it for a project or something that you're doing, something that's maybe an initiative that you want to kick off, or that you want to persuade someone at work or someone close to you to get involved. It might be for a holiday. I mean, wouldn't it be great to go on holiday at the moment and just book something in and be kind of starting to visualize, what would that holiday be like? Where would I want to be? Creating a vision for your holiday, and suddenly it might start to happen. Fingers crossed for this year that I would love to be going abroad. Suddenly, what's in my head is just past holidays and those experiences. That's a vision. How can I take those experiences and kind of combine them into what I'd like to see and what I'd like to do, and then go and persuade Pete, my other half, that yeah, he wants to do it too. So that process is all about creating a vision. So that might be an option, but it might be that you've got a project to work. It might be that you've got an initiative that you want to get off the ground. And that the lowest level, it might just be that you've got a meeting with someone. And so visualizing and thinking about, what do I want to get from this meeting? What do I want them to go away with? And using that might be that's another way of applying it. For me, if I'm just starting to think these through at the different levels, I've got kind of my mission, and just to give you a taster. So my mission around getting more women into tech, and doing it authentically, more women in tech who are leaders and role models, and helping them to speak out and be authentic. When I start to turn that into a vision, so this is what trying to explain the difference between a mission and vision. That's the mission that I want. I want to help, and that's what I'm doing. The vision is, wow, imagine that we had equal numbers of men and women in a tech company. So the thing that comes into my head is that walking into a tech organization and there being equal numbers of men and women there, but not just that, the culture is very welcoming. It's also more diverse in terms of racially and disability and all of that side of things. It's just a more welcoming environment. And so I see my vision is about paving the way towards that. And that's kind of what helps me to motivate me when I'm on my thing, and painting that picture. Hopefully you get a feel for that. Now, the next level down, if I now go back to what's happening for me at the moment, I'm currently marketing my Authentic Tech Leaders Mentorship program, and that program is a 12-month program. And what do I see for that? What's the thing that kind of the vision that I have for that? And that is that there becomes a place where there's a community of women in tech who are leaders, who are stepping up, who can come together and share their expertise and share their whatever they're going through. And they also are getting access to training, support that they need to grow and develop. And over that 12 months, they get the opportunity to connect with each other, to connect with who they are, and to become brave enough to step up and speak out and feel like they can be themselves in the world. And by having that community, they're able to get out there and be themselves more. So that's my vision there. Now, that's kind of almost like, if you take the mission, it's like I'm trying to take the vision for the mission and reduce it down into, what's something that I can create for that. And then if I then go down to this particular masterclass, I am going for what do I want? What's the vision I have for this masterclass? Well, it's for you. I would love for just in my head is just one of you taking away something that is like, oh, I can do this. I can create a vision. It's not as difficult as I think. So that's the vision I have in my head. And ideally it would be everyone that watches this. But for me, it's just when I kind of think about, oh, what is it that I want? It's just that I get this picture in my head, and I'm quite visual, but it might be that I get this wow, someone saying in my head that if I was more auditory and more tuned into my auditory set and my hearing, then that's the thing that I see. So hopefully this is starting to make some sense now. If you've got any questions, please do drop them in. As I said, I'm going to be taking them as we go along. I'm also going to be taking any that come up at the end. So please do drop them in. And if you're watching on replay too as well, I'll be checking in. So if I'm covering anything too fast, or you just want me to go a bit deeper into something, then please do let me know. So let me now take you into some tips and so to give you an idea of how to get there. And I'll give you some examples along the way. I'm just going to have another drink. So the first thing, and the analogy that I'm going to work around today for this, which I find really useful, is this. Imagine that you are, you've got someone that you're working with who can create an immersive environment. They can create a virtual reality environment or some cartoon environment, or they can mock something up for you. It could almost be something in the physical world that you've got unlimited access to resources, to hardware, to someone to basically build something and get the people in, get the actors in to create something that you're doing. If you can picture that and get the idea that that's what you're trying to do. Now, what your role in this is to instruct the person, instruct the people that are going to build this thing, and tell them what it's going to look like. So what I'm asking you to do in creating this vision is to communicate with this person to build it, and so that you can then at a later date give other people a tour and give them that experience of going around it. So imagine that you are now creating an immersive world. And as I'm gonna leave this for a minute and just answer a couple of questions. So one person's asked, is the vision part of your mission? So mission and vision are very, very closely interlinked. So your mission is the kind of the why and the thing that's coming from you, and it's the what's your purpose in the world. And there's different kind of, this is my definition. This is how I'm coming at this. So the mission is the kind of the why and the purpose and the difference you want to make. And then the vision is the what's going to happen when you achieve it. So if you make this difference in the world, what will the world look like as a result? What change, and how will things look different as a result of you doing it? So the vision is that I'm going forward into the future to 2025. No, maybe I'm going too short there. You choose your timescales. Maybe you're going in 2050, and I'm going to go and say in 2050, this is what the world's going to look like. And at that point, my mission will have been achieved. So the mission is more the difference that you're trying to make, and the vision is what happens when you get there. And the other question I've had is, should you be able to elevator pitch your vision or your mission? Yes, once you have clarity, and that's what I'm hopefully going to take you through and to help you with, is the how do you pitch it? How, if you are clear on what your vision is, then that should help you to pitch it. And the kind of steps I'm going to take you through will hopefully help you to get there. And I come back to me if you're not clear on that as well. So yeah, just going back. So looking at how the world would look like, is that broken down into different areas? Yeah, you can do. There's no rules, but yes, you might do. You might break it down into different areas, or you might have it as a big idea. And we'll come to that as well. So hopefully that helps and gets you going. So let me just take you through. So we're going to create an immersive environment. You have someone who is at your beck and call, who is a fantastic artist, designer, creator, who will listen to what you have to say, and then they'll go and create it in this virtual world. And that virtual world will then be something that you can come and take people on a tour of to give them, to show them what your vision is. So that's where I'm kind of coming from and would like you to get the idea of. So the first thing that I would encourage you to do, so pick your thing, what would you like this person to create your vision around. And for the purposes of this, I'm going to use my mentorship program because that's at the top of my mind at the moment. So I'm going to kind of use examples of that. And the first thing I would like you to do is, we're going to try and make this vision as clear as possible. So if you imagine instructing someone else to create this thing, you need to be as clear as possible about what's going on in it, about what you know is there. Now, notice that in this, I've said as clear as possible. So it might not be possible for it to be really, really clear right now. You might not have enough information. You might not know enough, and that's okay. If it's a fuzzy mess, then that's as clear as possible. But what I'd encourage you to do is just think about, are there elements where you are clearer than on some things than others? And this is where you might go into the different parts. It might be that you really know how to focus in and do what one thing might look like. So if I take my mentorship program as an example, then when I first started setting it up, I knew I wanted to set up a community, and I could see in my head the idea that there were different people kind of interacting. And it was like, so when I was in my working at Roke, which was the organization I used to work in, I felt very lonely at times. I just felt like I needed another woman to talk to. And I did actually reach out and find someone in the end who I just needed to talk through some emotional stuff, and having her there really made a difference. So I just wanted to create, I could see that the value in creating a community like that for other women in tech. So that was really clear to me. The thing that wasn't clear to me when I started out was, well, and what else? What other things are going to be there? How do I set this up? What's the community going to be like? And what's the tech going to be like? How are they going to interact? But it gave me a position to start with, and I could just see, oh, wouldn't it be great if I could create an environment where people could connect and get together, and in a different way to they might do with their colleagues at work. And maybe we could create some training around that, but I don't really know what the training would need to be. That's just really fuzzy to me right now. And so I started working with that, and that was okay. This person, they need to start somewhere, so just give them some starting points. It's like, and I'll bring the analogy in of sketching stuff out. When you're drawing something, you don't kind of try and put it all on the page in one go. You start with one little bit, and you might get really detailed, and then you go, oh, actually, do you know what, that fits there, and that might work a bit there. So start with making it as clear as you possibly can. And however that works for you. If you're a big picture down, you might kind of see the big thing and fill in the detail afterwards. If you're a more detailed person and work up, then start with the detail. Pick one thing that you're really comfortable with, but just start it going. And that is the one thing. And we'll be coming back to that at the end, and keeping on coming back to the adding clarity, adding stuff to it. Number 2, make it immersive. And what I mean by that is, I'm going to come back to this idea that vision isn't about seeing pictures on its own. Vision is about, what do you see? What do you hear? What do you feel? What do you taste and what do you smell? It's a full on, the more sensory you can make it, the more people are going to imagine that experience. So this person that you've got building this immersive environment, they can also add in all the senses as well. So it's going to be a full-on sensory exploration within that. And the reason that I say this is because if you aren't a person who sees in pictures in your head, if you're more kind of, you hear things first, then starting with, okay, so when this thing has been achieved, when you've the thing that you're thinking about, when it's been achieved, what will it sound like? What will people be saying about it? What might the conversations be that are going on within it? What are what might people write about it comes in as well. It might not just be the pictures, it might, or the sounds. It might be what's written about it, and what people are kind of saying on social media could come in there. But also you might think, well, how do they feel? What's the feeling that they get? And what's the feeling that you get too? So starting to explore that. Is it a buzz of excitement? Is it a feeling of, I can be here and I can just relax? Or maybe it's that empowerment and feeling like, yeah, you know what, I can do this. If is that what you see as a result of all of this? So starting to explore what is it that's going on from all the senses, and maybe there's a celebratory meal, maybe you're drinking champagne, or maybe it's something else that kind of awakens your taste and your smell. The more immersive that we can, and the more of the senses we can tune into, the more it feels like something that could be real. And so that's why I'm saying don't get hooked up on it being something that you see in a picture, because a picture can be very two-dimensional. It doesn't always inspire people. And if you're looking to inspire other people, then you also need to be aware that they might not be visionary. They might not be picture orientated. So if you start describing stuff in pictures and they don't, they're more on the using the phrases and what it sounds like, then you need to be able to speak in their language too. So being aware of that. The thing that you will probably find though is that one of the senses gives you access to the others. It's like what I was saying in the previous one about filling in the detail to start with where it works for you. It might be that as you start to fill in the audio and what's going on in the noise, and what people are saying, that suddenly you get a flash of an image. And it's amazing how things open up as a result, or you get a feeling that comes through. So, and as I'm talking, the senses I'm getting, if I'm talking about my mentorship program, I'm my visual sense is kicks in first often, and it's about people, seeing people coming together and interacting. And then because I'm quite then kinesthetic, so I tend to be very tuned into my feelings, then I connect them with the, yeah, they just feel comfortable being with each other, and they feel comfortable being with me and feel they can open up to me, and we can be in that environment where we talk and we share. And then, as you've noticed, we talk and we share. What are we talking about? Well, we're talking about what's going on at work. And so suddenly that opens things up further. Um, so just got, we'll catch up later. Sorry, I've dragged on a little bit longer than I wanted. I was hoping to get this done in half an hour, but I'll probably take about another 10 minutes or so. But so hopefully you can make it back later if you can't do any longer. So make it immersive. Get all your senses in there, and be in, and you're instructing this person not just to build what it looks like, it's also what it feels like, what it sounds like, the soundtrack that's going on as well. There might be a soundtrack that you can imagine, and that might get you thinking as well. So this person is building the thing. What you now need to do, and you might go back between the making it clearer and making it more immersive, and kind of going backwards and forwards between that and seeing how it evolves. But the next thing you need to do, because this isn't just for you, it will inspire you to have this on your own, but this is about communicating to other people. So the thing that you need to do is start creating a guided tour. So you want to be able to take people on a tour around this and show them the core elements of your vision, of what's going to happen, and show, and this is how you start to communicate to them, what will this look like when it happens in the world? So this thing that you're trying to create, when it happens, what will it, what could, and I'm going to come back to that, reinforce that, what could it look like? It's not really a what will it look like, although we come into that. It's a what could it look like. The chances are, actually, in reality, it's not going to look anything like what you picture to start with. Let's just be completely honest here. There are so many variables when we start going along something that actually it can turn into something completely different along the way. But the picturing it to start with gets us moving and gets us thinking, and helps us to get it evolved. So you're creating a guided tour. You're going to take people on a tour around your vision. And so think about, what are the key elements you want them to know about? Because they're the things that you're going to want the designer and the developer, the artist, to really pay attention to. You don't need to worry about the kind of the bits in the background that are just happening. You really want to focus on the bits where you're going to stand them in front of it and say, look, this is what's going on here. And so that's starting to think about, how might you explain this to people? What might you show them, in what order for it to make sense to them? And what's the things that you would really pay attention to? And then you're going to show people around. So you're going to get out there and start talking to people about it. And this always feels really early, but test it out on some people. And I say this often with so many things that I talk about here. But what is it that you, by getting out there and talking about it, you start to do your guided tour, and you start to find the places where you haven't paid so much attention, or that aren't so clear, and that those people can often help you get more clarity, because they might ask you the questions which make you go, oh yeah, of course, that's how it fits together, that's what comes through. And that's where you kind of get the creative process evolving. So as you have your conversations with people and show them around your immersive environment, with the, you've still got the artist there, you've still got the designer there, you can still kind of say, actually, can you just take that away and add this instead, because they didn't get that bit, and can you just make that one a bit clearer because they were really interested on that bit. So you're starting to build it in more depth, and really be able to describe the things that people are interested in. And the things that people are interested in might not be the things that you're interested in and that you thought that they would be interested in to start with. So this is then refocusing you and changing your tour and adapting it so that you'll get better at communicating it to people. So use test subjects to start with. Use the people that are friendly, the people that you know well. Just and use. You're always welcome to try things out within the group as a test. Just do a video and share your vision and say, can I have some feedback, or can I just type that in, or something like that. We are always here to give you a little bit of support, and we're not going to laugh at you, we're not going to criticize you. This environment, again, this group is an extension of my mentorship program, in the sense that I want to create it so that you feel you can turn up and get that support whenever you need. So show people around, get their feedback, and then invite them to contribute. So what is it that they could give towards this? What ideas do they have about this environment that you're creating, this vision that you have of how the world could be? Can they see anything to add to it? Can they kind of, this artist designer person, they can work for them too. So through you possibly, or maybe you're going to trust them enough to hand it off to them as well. But they can contribute to this vision that you're creating. And it might be that you find someone who's on a similar mission to you to help you to create this thing. And wouldn't that be amazing to have someone to join you on the journey, to know that you're working together, and to know that some other people also want to be part of it, and that they start to follow you, and they start to, and then you become a leader. But they're all kind of going, oh wow, this is so inspiring, but if you just did this, then couldn't we do something more? So giving them the opportunity to contribute to your vision, that vision then stops, eventually becomes less of your vision and becomes a collaborative vision, something that you're all working towards. And you may or may not retain the leadership of that. And that's completely possible. I mean, how often have we been on a project when it starts off as being ours and we have this idea, but actually our bit was about getting it going, getting the thing going. And I worked with quite a few people that are like this. My other half is a very good example. Very visionary, very good at the big picture stuff. But when it comes to the filling in the detail, that's where I came in. I was the one that kind of was much more, oh yeah, that's a great idea. Now, how do we, oh yeah, I can see how, yeah, we could do that here. And so we worked together on it. And that's how Digital Creativity Labs was formed, which was this big multi-million-pound project. He had the big vision of working with the games industry and getting them to collaborate with academia, and how that might work with different elements. And then I was the one that kind of went, oh yeah, and so this is how we'd get industry coming in and working together. This is how we would make this happen. So that's a really positive way of doing that. If I go back again to my mentorship program, the thing that has happened, as people have joined, as I've given people a tour, and they've got actually become members, then I've had really good feedback on various different bits that of what's working, but also some of the things just didn't work. So I ended up on Facebook to start with as a Facebook group, and quite a few people weren't keen to be on Facebook. So now we're on Slack. A couple of people said, "Well, actually, we're reading these books. Can we have a discussion around them?" So we tried out a book club, and that will probably come back too. So just being able to listen and saying, "Well, what is it for me in this community that makes it something that works for you?" And similarly, on the workshop side of things, so I used to just do drop-in calls so we could come in and talk about whatever was going on. But someone said, "Do you know what? I'd quite like a bit more structure to the calls occasionally, where you're teaching us something." So now I do monthly workshops alongside the reflection calls. So I kind of guide this through, and it's kind of a little bit similar to this, but there's more space and time to really get into the, oh, now work through this particular thing and apply it here, and what's actually going on. Let's actually talk about the feedback. So that's been really valuable. And I've seen so many different things emerging, so much more learning emerging. But then the reflection calls, there's now space for people to show up and say, "Oh, hi, this is what's going on for me right now." So that community is forming, which fits different people. And that's really what I wanted to see. So that's kind of that vision of what I wanted, of the where I said at the beginning, I didn't know quite how that community was going to work and exactly the details. As people have got involved, they've added to the details and they've painted more things in, and we've turned it into something, and it's becoming that way. So invite people to contribute, invite them to give their input along the way. And then keep on adding, tweaking, adjusting. Keep on going back to saying, "Oh, how clear is this? Can I make it clearer? Have I learned something now that can make it even clearer still?" Keeping on saying, "Oh, do I any more sensory stuff? Any more in there?" Giving more people a talk and exploring with them. And then eventually you'll come to the point where you'll be pitching it. There will be or maybe, but if you're working towards a particular point where this has there's a deadline for this, and there's a particular person where there's a you're pitching for something, you're asking for some support, you're asking a person and the reason for creating this vision, then the pressure starts to feel there, like it's there, and that can distract us. But the better you know your vision, the better, the clearer you are, the more immersive it is, the better the work, and the better that you've instructed this person to do their stuff, the more likely you're just to be able to go, "Oh yeah, no, I know that answer. Yeah, okay, this is the way I see it." And you're more likely to be able to just kind of off the cuff, rather than having a practiced pitch. You might want to practice the initial thing, the guided tour, and get it down to being as close to what you know they're interested in. Then the closer you can get to having a clear vision, the more likely you are just to be able to pull stuff out of your head as you go along, because you'll have done all the groundwork. You'll know it, and when you know it, it just comes out in conversation anyway. So there's one thing, I'm just going to quickly go back. So on the guided tour, I just want to pull out that as you're taking people around on a tour, as you're introducing them to your vision, as you're telling them what you see, one of the things that often comes out is you start to realize that you need to tweak it for the things that are important for them. What's important for them in this? What is it that they want to know? What do they get from it? What would they get from being involved? So if you are pitching for funding, for example, what does the person get? What does the organization get as a result of investing? And now that might not be the thing that is motivating you. And so this is the other thing that's valuable about creating the guided tour, is starting to think, okay, if I'm guiding this particular person round, then what are the things that they're going to be interested in along the route? And I think it's important to notice that, and going back to what I was saying about the senses, noticing that you might need to kind of think about, well, what is it that, how do they speak? What's the things that gets them going? What's the language they use? And how do I describe this and create this guided tour? Like, imagine that suddenly some Spanish people turn up and they're really important. So suddenly you've got to find a way of translating into Spanish. You might not be able to do that. Maybe you need to find someone to help you with that, to help you do that translation, to speak that speak. and so that you can create the guided tour in the right language. So I hope this all makes sense. So I'm coming to the end. The very last thing I want to say within all of this is enjoy it. This is the last bit that is so essential. It's definitely not the least. The more you enjoy what you're creating and enjoy having fun in this imaginary world, that's what we're in. We're imagining the future. As you get closer to it, it might become more less imaginary and more real. But you just the more you can have fun in it, the more creative you'll be, and the more likely you're going to create something which is really compelling to people. So go out and enjoy it and have some fun with it. Lift the weight of heaviness of, oh, I've got to create this kind of this thing that means so much, and just have a play with it. And I would just say the more that you can play with this process, so pick to start with a couple of meetings or something like that that you want to get. Pick something like I'm doing today, this pitch, this masterclass, and imagine, what is it that you want to get out of that next half an hour? What is it that what's the vision for what would happen after that conversation with your boss or with your colleague or something like that? Just keep it small to start with if you're not used to doing this. And notice if you get drawn into the, oh, it's all going to go terribly wrong and it feels really heavy, and you get drawn into the negative, and pull yourself back and go shake yourself about and go, right, okay, now imagine that the best thing that's possible could happen. What would that be? And start to notice what comes through and start exploring, how clear is it? What senses am I tuned into? What's coming through? And the bit that I would say is that if the senses aren't coming through, but you have a feeling, start with that. Start with what's the feeling that you might want to, and sometimes you've just got a sense. And I don't even mean a deep feeling. It's just like this, I want it to be like this, but I can't describe it. Just start trying to get that feeling out in the world in some way, and it will come through. So I hope this has been useful. I again, as I said, I welcome questions. If you've got any more questions to add in right now, or in the as you're watching on replay, then please do drop them in the comments. Now, I've mentioned my mentorship program a few times. If that vision sounds good to you, if you want to be part of that community, if you want to get access to the training and the coaching, then the doors close for that for the current round on the 21st of February. So we kick off with the next round on the 21st of February. And there are 5 places left. There are 6 people in total. So it's a small community joining the 18 that are in there. And it is such a lovely place at the moment. I'm really pleased with how it's evolving. But I know that part of my vision is that new people come in and they feel welcomed, they get part of the community, they learn and they grow and they develop and they learn more about who they are. They learn more about kind of what it is that they bring to the world, their creative side. That's what this is all about. It's about them getting that sense of who they are, developing these visions, understanding their missions, and then getting the resilience to get out there and be there in the world spreading this stuff. So that's what that's all about. So I've not seen any more questions coming through. If you want to know more about the mentorship program, feel free to DM me, and I'm happy to have a chat and just talk it through, see if it's see if it's of interest to you. I can, just drop me a message, and I will find, and we can talk it through. And I don't do hard selling. That's definitely not for me. So thank you very much. I'm glad that, well, I've got a couple of things saying you're enjoying it. So really appreciate that. Hope I've given you some stuff to think about, and that's my vision, that you've gone off and kind of gone, oh, never thought about it like that before. This is going to be easier now. Have a lovely evening, and I will see you soon. Bye.